Ladies and gentlemen, the person to introduce this particular segment of my testimony is none other than drum rolls. Tufanye drum roll.
The one, the only, God's favorite.
Wow. What a way to start the show.
I know.
I mean, really, you welcome me and then I introduce myself.
Yes.
Well.
Because Mimi, imagine I cannot.
You cannot.
I cannot.
You have the ability. I don't know. It's just nikukata. But anyway, welcome to my testimony right here on Sifa Sunday on TV 47. I am excited to be here. My name is Kalekye Mumo and I love the Lord Jesus.
Man.
Hiya. First, I'm taking you back into the days. Eh?
Okay.
I know you've introduced my segment for my testimony, but perhaps take us to Kiss 100.
Okay.
The damn days.
Okay.
Sijui kama Gen Z mlikuwa mmezaliwa. The Lord is good.
There's always, YouTube. There's lots of clips.
By the way.
Lots of clips from that era. You will find them there. And if I take you back just a little bit further, the dream to be on radio started when I was 8 years. I knew I wanted to be inside the radio because I used to love listening to a show called Beat Time.
Okay.
Beat Time was on then VOK, Voice of Kenya, which is now KBC, the only station that we had. And it was at 4 o'clock. So, you run home from school, finish your homework so that I can steal my dad's transistor radio. Unajua transistor? Unajua transistor? Nauliza tu kama unajua. And, it has batteries. It's a small thing like this. Tune in and listen to Beat Time. And so I used to wonder, these people who are inside the radio, how did they get there? Why do they sound so nice, like they're having a good time? And that's all I knew at that age. Fast forward to finishing high school, and I'm now like, I understand what this is, and I'm looking for a place to go and do what is understood as communications. And my parents are saying, communi what? So that you do what? That's a part-time. People who do that do it for part-time, and they just have fun. So please, you have to find a job where you can have your name on the door. A title. So please go and do a degree like that. And so I didn't do communications because that was not what my parents were going to pay for. And so when I finished the degree that they paid for, I gave it to them and said, now thanks, now let me go look for.
Wow.
So it was a journey. It took 5 years before I got into a radio station after I graduated. So I got in 2005, and that time I managed to get in at Capital after I won a Radio Idol competition. Stayed there for about 3 months, and then got the opportunity to go to KISS, but then they offered me news. News. Nimetoka kuwa breakfast presenter Capital, nimeenda kufanya news. But then foot in the door, work your way up. Within 8 months, I got a show, and that was the birth of the Rush Hour. So it was a journey.
Me, I love this journey. It's so interesting. First of all, introduce to us, the new segment, and then to graduate to the Rush Hour. So the news was essentially, you're the news reader, but you're also the news editor when you're on duty, which means you're running the news desk for radio, you're managing the reporters, you're gathering sports news, which I knew nothing about. And it was tough because as much as I had studied international relations, you see, that was a degree I chose because I had to choose something, because that was the only way I'd get the degree. And it was not business, and it was not any math-oriented thing, because, I mean, those were the only other things being offered at USIU at the time. So I am now at a news desk, managing and editing the stories that the journalists are putting in, and then running to the studio after you've already organized the script, reading it, coming back. At 3 a.m. you're seated, because we didn't have the technology, digital, and the internet was just popping at the time. This is 2005, end of 2005 into 2006. And so it's tough. You have to sit there and wait to record off the Sky News to get the sports. That's Sky Sports. And then you have to remember it's Serie A, not Series A. Man, it was tough. But I think the grounding part is that
when you have a desire to do something and you want it bad enough, you will push yourself, you'll do whatever it takes. And so the reason why I could stay in that is that every other day I could go to the head of radio and say, so ulisema even show ya Sunday, show ya Saturday, show just anything. I will do my shift for the 5 days of the week for the news, but give me a weekend show. And eventually we got a weekend show.
Okay.
The weekend show was called Keeping It Kenyan. It was oriented on Kenyan music. The problem was that then I was given Shafi and Roy Karuhize to be my co-hosts, and I was like, Lord,
wait a minute.
These guys don't know me. I have a dream to get into a certain seat. So it's Saturday morning and they come in late, they come in hangovered, and it's like,
whoa.
You guys know this is my career.
Yeah.
But that is actually where we got to build something that when there was a space to get into the drive show 8 months later, that now they looked and said, these guys can take this, and she's wanted this for a long time. And so that's how the journey was. So it wasn't, I woke up like this, I worked for it.
You worked for it.
I worked.
How was it with your parents knowing that, first of all, they've sent you to school to study this particular one, and then you've given them the degree that they want. However, you're not even pursuing it.
Oh, that was the fight. That was that fight. The 5 years before I got into radio, between graduating in the year 2000 and 2005, getting in, I did totally different things. I technically should be a diplomat or working in the Foreign Affairs Ministry because I did international relations. And so my first job after finishing campus was at the Embassy of Turkey. I was bored, so that was the problem. So when I left, I've managed all the major DJs who have ever existed in this country.
Oh, wow.
I started at Homeboys. And that was, of course, a big problem because you've left the embassy to go and work with people who are calling themselves home boys. And they DJ in clubs at night. And you're telling us that's a job. My parents were, they were not happy. And then I left there. I went to work at a studio called Rough Cuts Productions, which is one of the best things I did, because I figured if I can't be on air, yet I'm sending in my CV and my demo tapes every single month I can, I get the opportunity to work in a place where I can learn the back end. So that's a production area. So I got trained in sound engineering. I was a sound editor for 3 to 4 years of that time. And that helped because then they also gave me the training of, yes, you have a good voice. How do you use it? How do you project? I started doing radio ads. And that grounding, sometimes you think that God is really just denying you something that he told you and he put in your heart. And God doesn't go back on his word. If he puts it in your heart, he's going to give it to you. So in the 5 years of waiting and trying, I even gave up on the desire to go on radio. I said, now I've learned how to be a sound engineer. I can do ads. I'm recording people. I'm working 14 hours a day, but it's okay. 14 hours is not a short time. So I moved on and I said, I will now just be a sound engineer. And so in that grounding period, by the time the opening came, I realized later when I got there, the reason I could be good is because I knew how to produce my own content. Shafi had done the same thing, he had done production. And so for us, we used to be the ones who edit our stuff. We didn't have a producer to do that. We did everything. And so it helped us because having that back knowledge that I thought was a waste of time for 5 years, it was God's plan of setting me up.
All right. You had a lot of good chemistry between you and Shafi. Did it develop while you guys were doing the show, or it developed before?
Well, let me tell you a story. Remember me telling you that I now got the opportunity to do a Saturday show, and I was thinking this is my big break to prove that I deserve a primetime show? And these guys are coming late? We hated each other, my friend. We hated each other, and that's what created the chemistry. You see that antagonistic nature where he would talk down to me, I'd fight back and whatever? For the first year, it was real. I didn't even have his number saved on my phone.
For a whole year?
For a whole year. And we've started the show. Because I was like, this guy doesn't know this is my dream.
Yes.
He's just here, just wasting time. Me, I like to move fast. I'm a meticulous person. I like to plan my things, and I need you to be on point. If we are going, we're going. You know what you're doing, let's go. So he'd take time. He'd be like, you're always in a rush. So we'd clash on that part until the listeners started enjoying it. So we're like, they like us fighting.
Yeah.
So it took some time for us to get it and then realize, let's use this to our advantage. It also took, when they say as a woman, there are things that you're going to do that you don't want to do, where you take a step back and say, for us to thrive, I'm going to have to calm down. I'm going to have to make him feel that he can take this lead.
Yeah.
I'm leading, but it's okay. I'll give you.
Take the wheel.
Take the wheel.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to do, is that I'd get so mad, and then I start saying, count from 100 to 1. Count from 100, 99, 98.
Wow.
And he'll ask me, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. What do you think we should do? Are you okay? That time I want to die because I'm thinking, you should know what we have to wait. You should know it.
Yeah.
And so that taking a step back also taught me a lot. Like, for the greater good, what are you willing to do? How much grace can you afford someone else?
Yeah.
Despite the fact. And then he eventually learned, okay, not to annoy her, not to do this. So we learned and then used what had been our fighting thing to our advantage. And then we became really good friends. Yeah, but it took some time.
Some time. How long were you together in radio? 10
years.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a marriage. That was like a 10 years, 8 hours a day. That was a marriage.
A total marriage.
That was a marriage, because you have to, and then you of course have to talk a lot more, because for you to have a good show, you're sharing content all the time. I mean, when you're here, you're collecting content every single time you meet someone. We met on Sunday, and you saw, this is content.
Yes.
That. Working all the time when you're doing it with someone else, and I'm sure you and your DJ are also tight, because that's the nature of it. So you end up spending a lot more time together. That's why I call it a marriage.
All right.
Yeah.
What happened after Kiss?
So after I left, I had turned 40. There was no more room for me to grow there.
Okay.
And so I left with that notion of, it's been a good run. Always leave on your high. It's a good place to leave. And I went into now the world of media consultancy.
Okay.
My first actual job was more towards PR and branding and marketing. And so I did a project with Kericho Gold as they launched their Attitude teas, the teas in the multicolored packs.
Yes.
And so from there, it was like, okay, you know what, we can do something else out here. But within 6 months, I was called upon to go and do the show Talk Central at K24.
Yes.
And I was like, as long as it doesn't have to take too much of my time, that I can do the show and still do other things. And they're like, we only need you for what essentially is a full day or a half day of prep or a half day of shoot. I said, that works for me. And I took up that show. And that was fantastic. It was a wonderful ride, because my dream was move from radio, transition into TV. And I managed to achieve that and be one of the best TV hosts conducting interviews that are intimate. And in that position, I believe I was able to be myself. Being on Kiss meant that I had to assimilate to a younger sounding person. I got in when I was almost 30. I got in at 29, going to 30. But then the audience for radio was 18 to 24. Okay. So I had to sound younger. I had to learn their language, which is good because it's kept me looking and feeling younger. Yeah. But when I got to TV, I was able to be myself. I was able to talk like myself. I was able to take on conversations at a deeper level, because now you're reaching out to an audience that's older, mature, can understand. And that was a fantastic 2-year ride. I did that for 2 years. Again, when that opportunity was looking like it's coming to a close, I said, okay, go do your own content now. Start producing. I do a production for smaller companies. Okay. So if they want to do infomercials, I do that. I started focusing on doing my podcasts. I also have podcast equipment for hire. Yes. And I still continued then doing my voiceover work. Yes. And then now have gone back into acting. Yes. but at the same time also doing media training for companies.
Yeah.
And now I want to take on that level. There are a lot of people who ask me, how do you become a great host, whether you're doing it for TV, whether you're doing it for radio or for your podcast? So I'm actually now launching that under my company KM Network.
Yes.
Yes.
Amazing. You get to wear so many hats. First of all, I know you sing. You didn't tell us that part.
Because so it was a desire. You know how you have a dream to do something? You have a dream to do something and you say, I would love to. I love to sing. I've always sang. Singing and acting, I started, I think my first lead role, I was 9 years old. In a musical. Okay. In Loretta Convent Songari, we used to do musicals. And so that was my first role, was a lead role. I was playing Emperor Nero. Yes. So it was a fantastic role. So singing was something I wanted to do. And so in 2013, I hooked up with Kolo and Yulopa.
Yes.
And they were like, no, you know, we know you have a voice, because I had been singing in karaoke bars for a long time. In fact, that's how I was supplementing my salary. When I started working, my first salary was 8,000 bob.
Wow.
So, yeah. And you see, the graduates who had graduated with the college degree I had were earning 25K.
Yeah.
So that is where my parents were not happy, remember?
Yeah.
And so then I'm spending late nights singing karaoke. So they had heard me sing and they're like, you have a great voice. Why don't we do a song? And I'm like, yeah, by the way, I've wanted to. When I'm ready, I will. So we had talked about it for years. And then 2013, I said, you know what? I'm going to put some money aside. We're going to do this. And so we came up with the song My Baby, which was written by Kolo.
It was a hit.
Yeah, it was. Recording that video was 300,000 shillings back then. It was expensive because unlike today where people have access to cameras, there's digital, you can use your phone and make a whole video.
Yeah.
There was nothing. You are depending on Jay Blessing to bring his big camera to shoot and you pay him a lot of money. So after I did 3 songs on my own. I did a collabo, and then I said to myself, the amount of money it costs, considering I'm still working, at that time I was still on radio, the people who are singing were only making money when they do shows, and that means you have to be a full-time artist. I couldn't do that. And so that's how that dream was like, off the bucket list. You have done music. Next. So I think now where I'm at, singing in church is as much as I'm doing. If I do get to do anything else, it will be worship music. It will be chill. An inexpensive video is now possible. You know, 300,000 in 2013, my friend.
A lot.
It was a lot of money.
People will take loan to start businesses.
Exactly. And in 2013, that was way, way, way more money.
True.
So I feel like it's still a place maybe I would go back to, but it's an expensive thing. There's a lot of streamlining that needs to be done for the Kenyan musician to feel they can actually succeed. If you're not doing it full time, and you want to succeed, it will take a lot more.
Amazing. Now, looking at you, my goodness, have you ever had an interview, ladies and gentlemen, and you don't want to talk, you just want to listen? I just want to listen to you talk and talk and talk. But talking about all this, there's a shift that you have now. First of all, you are singing in clubs. Did you grow up in a family that was a Christian-based family? Were you born again all your life? But there's a shift that you got to see. I don't know if people really noticed, but I did, because I was a big fan. You know how you're saying you ran home to listen to radio, okay? We rushed home to listen to you. Or even in a matatu. There was no other. Was there? No, it was just Shafi and Kalekye, you know? But having known you then and now, first of all, there's a lot of growth. I want you to take us through the transition from there till now.
So yes, I did grow up in a Christian family. The basis of everything that has been in our home has been a Christian family. And I got born again when I was 13. And it was exciting, you know, rushing to go for youth service. And then something happened between 13 and 16 and nikakosana na Mungu. And I was just feeling like, God, you're not here, you've left me. And it's those teenage things where you're kosanaing with your mom. And then I'm like, I'm waking up to go to church, and then Mungu umeniacha. And that feeling can be very difficult when you're a young teenager. How old was I? I was 14, 15 when I had this fight. And I said, you know what? I still care for you, but I'm out. And I just kind of killed that vibe, and I said, it's not going to work for me if you're not supporting me in this journey that I have taken. And so from that age of about 14, 15, I did not hate God. I just was not listening anymore.
Okay.
And you know, there's that call, and he keeps calling you back, and I'm like, me now, me naishi maisha tu vile.
Yeah.
Occasionally, when things are tough, I'll be like, "Our Father, which art in heaven," because that's the prayer you remember, you know.
Yes.
But I was like, no. And I feel like one of the things that a lot of people go through, and they say, like, you could go through church hurt, and then you hate God, but it's not God, it's people. And people are innately sinners. Everybody was born with sin. It's only Jesus Christ who walked the earth without sin. So we carry the weight of somebody else's hurt upon us, and then hate God and cancel God, you know? Essentially, me, I canceled God.
True.
And so in that period between that age and actually I was 41 or 42, somewhere there, when I accepted Christ.
Oh.
And it had gone through all sorts of motions. I mean, and now I was partying, I enjoyed my drink, but one thing I have always been is I've been responsible. And that one, I think, was the fear of hearing my mother hear. So, there are things I was not going to do.
Yes.
And so as much as I was singing in the karaoke bars, I was partying, but I was still very reserved in certain areas.
Okay.
And when I hit my 40s, I had a very bad heartbreak. And I've talked about it on my podcast, Conversations with Kalekye.
Yes.
I did a live version where the Lord was telling me it's time to share your testimony. It was I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. But when the Lord says go, you best be obeying and go.
Yeah.
And so that particular heartbreak, I felt used. I felt like kwani I was desperate for someone to love me to the point where I will be there for them to bury their mother, do everything. And then immediately, and I mean immediately after we bury, come back, he cuts you off. Wow. No phone call. No, as in, I remember even going to knock at the door like, hey, are you okay? Because now I'm worrying. You lost your mom, are you okay? And I realized this guy has cut me off. That's done and dusted. What I was assuming was a relationship was not a relationship. Yeah, it was a cut-off. And I had actually met Pastor George from City Lighters Church. At the time, he was at our parent church, which is Kilelesho Covenant Community Church. And the reason I met him was because I needed a pastor to come and help us bury this guy's mom. I went to look for a pastor so that we can come and pray.
Okay, Mwema.
My friend, it was I. I was the one.
Okay.
I was the one. I was the one going to look for a pastor for a guy who was about to leave me. Jameni.
Character development.
Please remember, si ati nimekuwa kwa church sana. So I called, who did I call? I called somebody who I was working for Mo Sound, and I thought, you must know a pastor. This guy, one of the questions I used to ask every guy before I did them is, are you a Christian? Because that was still important to me, whether I was born again or not. It was still important to me that you believe in the same God I believe in. And I used to ask, do you go to church? Sasa hiyo siendi kanisa mimi mwenyewe, lakini sitaki kuolewa na mtu ambaye
endi church.
So he had said he goes to Parklands Baptist, but he's not a known member. He appears when he appears, or rather when he died and have a hangover. So when I was looking for a pastor, I was looking for a pastor from that church to convince them that there's a guy who's lost a mom. The mom was based in Nakuru, but and his sisters were abroad. And the fact that he was alone in Nairobi, you know, we needed prayers to be done. And the mom had passed away while getting medical care in India. So somebody needs to receive the body. If there's anything I know, is the protocols of how a Christian must be buried. There must be certain things to be done. And so when I had gone to that home the first time, I'm like, the friends are just sitting drinking. I'm like, hakuna maombi huku. Then he tells me, oh, but I don't know what to do. I don't know. So that's how I ended up. So then I meet Pastor George because I go to look for a pastor who will be open to the fact that this person doesn't quite know God, but his mother did. And so I was directed to Pastor George and we met. And then we do this. And so you can imagine after all that, Pastor is asking me, so how is he? Because he's assuming we're together, right? Huwezi kuja kutafutia mtu pastor na wewe na yeye amko pamoja. Hata alikuwa nangoja nimwambie tunaolewa lini. You know, it went for so long until I said, now, Pastor, this guy left. He left the building. He stopped talking to me.
Vamos.
My friend. And so we began this walk together. And what I liked was he understood that I wasn't at a place where I don't know God, but he's not going to push you to say, then you should get born again. No. And we just meet and we talk and about life and stuff. And then one day I said, okay, I want to come and see this church, K3C, Kilelesha Covenant Community Church. He said, oh, you're coming, great. And I started attending. Even the day I accepted Christ, he was not even there. He was preaching in the youth service and I'm in the main service. It was October 1st of 2017 that I accepted Christ.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was, I have been looking for love in the wrong places.
Yes.
Seeking a validation of love from human beings.
Yes.
When I don't understand the author of love.
Yeah.
So it was a call to come home. I have been waiting for you. And I remember clearly the Lord saying, just come. Come home. This is where the love is. And that was how I accepted Christ. And I haven't looked back.
Amazing. Yeah. And today we are talking about God's love language. We'd want to, we actually don't have an answer for that particular question.
Wow.
But everyone knows God's love language in different ways because God visits you in different ways. But before we do that, there were some photos that I saw on the screen and I'd want to get to look at them if you're able to put them on the screen. That is your birth. Look at that baby.
That's a cute baby, no?
That's a cute baby. That's a cute baby. Look at that.
Standard 1.
Okay.
State House Primary. Yes, Standard 1. Yeah,
okay.
right outside our home on my first day. That's campus days.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's campus
Which
days.
campus?
USIU. Then this is at KISS. These were American basketballers from the End 1 Stars. Yeah. And it was an amazing interview. That's Eve of the Rough Riders. She was so humble. Yeah, and
that's
then that's Oscar. Yeah.
My God, you're skinny.
Yeah, that was then. That was Chaguo Latinis. I think our second year of winning. We must have won for like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this was my 40th birthday when I did my weight loss and I lost 40 kilos.
But I was coming to that because at some point when we got to see you while we were growing up, you were quite heavy. I can see the photos on the extreme end.
Yeah.
What was the motivation towards the weight loss?
One of the things that I had always been confident about was I have no issues with how I look. I've been confident about that. I walk tall in my skin. I am who I am. And that's something that at least I thank God I was brought up with that at home, right? I have a skin condition. It's called psoriasis.
Okay.
So I've grown up with something different from everyone else. And psoriasis is an autoimmune disease. So an autoimmune disease, it just means that there's something that doesn't function correctly in your body. So my skin grows faster than the normal human being whose skin refreshes after 28 days. Mine refreshes after 3. So it ends up having patches and layers.
Okay.
Can be scary when you look at it sometimes, and I have had it since I was 3.
Wow.
That's when it cropped up. And so having been through that, I knew I'm not my skin. You meet my personality first. how I look is irrelevant. And how confident I was helped me. And so being on the heavier side, being a plus size woman, let me call it that, I was like, look, until it affects my health, I'm not bothered about it. I'm okay. I've checked everything. I have no pressure issues. I have no cholesterol, no what. I'm good. So in, I think it was 2014, the end of 2014, my feet started swelling. I traveled to the coast and my feet swelled and they refused to deswell. And I mean refused to deswell. Like, so the bottom of my feet is really swollen. And I'm like, what's going on? And then they're swollen, were, that was like maybe August of 2014. I traveled again for New Year's, December. They're like, hey, these feet. So now I realized that this swelling, first my problem was not because I could be sick. My problem was it was spoiling my shoes. And I like my shoes. So the problem was the shoes. So I said, now I can go to the doctor because my shoes. And so I now have to, I go to a doctor and the doctor is like, your feet have been swollen for 4 months now. Ujakuja, are you crazy? You could get a blood clot. And I'm going, a what now? And so he says, let's do all the tests. We do all the tests, thankfully none. But he tells me now, you can't go on like this. This is going to cause other problems. That blood clot will come. So we have to figure out a weight loss plan. And so I'm like, yep. I said, until it affects my health, I'm okay. And so now I have to actively think of what to do. And obviously, as a plus-size girl in your 20s, through campus, whatever, I've gone through different things. I had tried different things. Mara sijui GNLD, Mara sijui. I lose, we're good. I come back. So, I mean, I just have to smell chips, ice are up. I don't even have to eat them, ice are up. So that's just my metabolism, okay? And so now I say, okay, now I'm serious about this, we're doing it. So in that process, my cousin, the late Janet Kanini, who used to be a TV anchor, also starts having swelling feet. Now, she has, and remember me, I've had it for like 4 months before I see a doctor. Now has swell for 3 weeks and then she gets a blood clot. That freaked me out. I was like, what? I have been saying I'm okay and the only reason I went to see a doctor is my shoes. And here's my cousin who 3 weeks, now she has a blood clot, now this and this transition, Like everything just went from 0 to 1,000 for her so badly. I was like, the last thing I'm going to do is not do what the doctor has said. That shook me. To be honest, that really shook me. And so I actively now try to find ways to do this. And you know, he's like, go start swimming. And I'm like, yes, I love swimming, but then also I love my hair. And so...
You love a lot about yourself.
Listen. Looking good, God created us to look good. Nobody said you should look like a problem because you love the Lord. So I then now ended up finding a program that was what today we call keto. Essentially, that's really what it was. That you remove certain starches, you are eating lean meats only and more vegetables, and you're eating according to a certain time set. And so that's how I achieved that. In 6 months, I lost 40 kilos.
So people can?
You can.
You don't need to go to those.
No, you can. And you better do it before you turn 40. Because after 40. Let me just tell you, after 40, the hormones, they don't comply. So you'll have, you can do stuff, but it will be harder. And so I'm glad that it happened before I turned 40 so that by the time I turned 40, I realized, wait, I lost 40 kilos and I'm turning 40. Why don't we do this? This is 8 years ago. So that's how we ended up coming up with a theme. It was a fantastic idea. I think that was the biggest all-white party that the country in Africa had seen.
Oh, wow.
It was a very exclusive party. I think I've been lucky to have certain graces afforded to me and favor. So you know how you asked God's love language? Hey, it's favor and grace. Woo! Favor and grace. That you will still wake up, that you will still be given the opportunity to go and mess up again, and he still give, no. For me, it's favor. He put people in my path who agreed to work with me. I barely paid him any money for that event.
Wow.
I just went and did a presentation to all the companies that I wanted to work with for all the things that I needed, the people for screens, Exposed did the screens. I talked to Chris Kiro and I said, manage this event. I did the presentation and said, look, this is what I've done, this is what I've achieved, you want to be associated with this. And all those companies that came to support me, that was because they believed in what I had shared.
Amazing.
And that's how that party came about.
Yes.
But one thing I'll be honest about is I didn't want, and because I could have, I didn't want to be, now everything fitness is, you know.
Yes.
And everybody was calling me to talk about it and everyone. And I was like, that's putting me in a box. This is something I did because I wanted to take care of my life. I lost my cousin in the process. And this was more than just, now let's go everybody, let's lose weight. It's great, and I did a show about it, but I didn't want to live there. Some people are like, why didn't you, take that space and what? Because it wasn't about that. You know, everybody, when you're in the media space, when you're in a public figure, they keep looking for opportunities for you to hone something that looks like a money-making thing. And I'm like, was that the purpose that I was created for, that I now be a weight loss ambassador? No. No, and I had to be honest with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to be honest with that.
Amazing. Love left you at some point, but have you bounced back to love?
Where? Character development inakuanga real. I took a break.
All right.
I took a break and I decided to fall in love with Christ first.
That's the best.
I took a break because immediately after that, I'll give it, let's say, I got born again October. After the heartbreak had happened, maybe around July. And then by the next year, 2018, I met somebody in April. Where? Where?
Okay.
God was like, I'm about to tell her, wait, just relax. You just give me time so that me and you can be, And so I took an active break and actually said, I want to know who God is. And I know that God is love now. And that has been such a grounding place.
Amazing.
Where it's possible for you to think you're ready.
Yeah.
And from 25, I thought I was ready. In fact, I cried. My 25th birthday was bad. I really cried because I was like, I should be married. My mother got married at 25, and it's not happening. There's nobody in the horizon. I was very, very, very sad.
Yeah.
But that was not God's plan for me. And I get a lot of hate for, so you love talking about love and relationships. You're not even married. And you see the character that I had on radio, which I believe we did such a good job because you guys believed everything we said, that I was a single woman who has never dated and, has just these opinions and supporting women and what. That was a character. Because when you go on radio, guess what? Unlike TV where, like I said, I could be myself, you're given a character Bible. You must, this is the audience we represent. This is the girl that we want to reach. She sounds like this, she lives here, she thinks like this, she does. She aspires to be blah, 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 blah. And that's what we did. But that doesn't mean I wasn't dating in between that time. That's why I did conversations with Kalekye, because God was like, it's about time you stop the naysayers and show them, hey, you've dated, and some of them have gone south. So in that period of saying, let me wait and learn God, I've learned a lot. And I can say, sometimes I feel like I'm ready. Sometimes I feel like I'm not. But the way I have submitted myself to God now is, Father, may your will be done.
Amazing.
If you have put this desire in my heart to have a man and a husband and a family, it doesn't matter how old you are. What matters is, what kind of marriage will you have? I want to enjoy my sunset years with somebody who loves the Lord.
Amazing.
And that we can serve him together.
Ooh.
So if that's not coming, I'm not boarding.
All right. That's a good place to take a short break. We have the CEO of the Kalekye Mumo.
KM Network.
KM Networks. Yes. And of course, she's a voiceover artist. She's a media personality. She's all gorgeous. She's good. She's born again. She loves Jesus. And we don't want to touch that dial. So we're going for a short commercial break. But when we come back, we have Kalekye Mumo in the building. We're going to wind up this conversation in the next 10. So, usiende mbali. Sawa. Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to My Testimony, a segment that you all love and you all enjoy. And a couple of you are calling in. Nataka sijui kama director tutachukua simu 1 to 3 so that we can, unaweza tupigia simu kwenye nambari iko kwenye screen pale, so that we can get to communicate, ask Kalekye a question or two. And I know most of you get to laugh. I think I need to invite you. One of these Sundays we get to do the show together, like the entire time.
Wow.
Sijui tupeleke wengine exile.
Hey. You know now when I come and then somebody loses their job, maybe it won't be me. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
I'm just saying.
Thank you.
I'm just saying to the bosses out there, I'm ready to come back to TV.
You know,
I'm ready.
You heard it from the queen herself. She's ready to come back. But I don't know why I always categorize you as more of a business-oriented kind of show. Not this. Now I get to be everywhere.
What do you mean by what do you mean by business?
It's business.
More corporate.
It's a more corporate, by
corporate.
the way.
So you guys are saying you guys are not
you're-
corporate na vile mnaka?
You're reading there and you know that whatever.
No, by the way, that's not me.
Australia.
No, that's
I'm
not
looking
me.
at
Oh
it
my God.
that way.
Oh no. No. That is not me.
It's not.
No. I think what I am is a storyteller. So I like people giving me stories. Like I could easily turn this interview into, you guys think you're interviewing me and I'm interviewing you.
All right.
Very easily. I'll ask you questions and make you comfortable enough to tell me your deepest secrets. So that is what my strong suit is.
Amazing.
Yeah, that is.
All right. Now, we know when it comes to TV, it comes to radio, when it comes to all this, we do a lot of PR.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm not simwagi unga, simwagi mtama kwenye...
Haitwi PR, inaitwa, you have to be a great actor to be on any entertainment platform because some days are going to be rough. You have had the worst day of your life or something's happening, but then, hi, good evening, everyone, how's everything? Fantastic, are you having a great time? Then when they go off, you just say, God, Mimi, he life, you know.
Gori.
Yeah.
I want you to tell us an incident, and I know I'm throwing you into the deep end, of a scenario that what you had to put up a facade, I would say it.
Yeah.
Make us laugh, make us happy, do all that, but maybe it's deep down inside, you are not okay.
I think there have been several, but the one I remember most fondly was a time where Shafi was on leave, and so meaning I was doing the show by myself, a 5-hour show by myself, starting from 3, ending at 8, and I had been having lunch with my sister. She borrowed my car. She was going to do something, and I was like, so you'll bring back the car later. You leave the keys at the reception, no problem. Now we've parted at just before I go in for the show. Yeah. 15 minutes into the show, she's calling me like fire, and my family knew. I do not, when I get to work is work. I will not take calls. I will not start responding to your text messages because that distraction, I won't be able to deliver the show, and especially when I'm alone. So I'm like, I hang up, she calls. I hang up, she calls. I hang up. So I picked up the phone in annoyance. What is it? We've just parted ways. I'm on air. I even knew, why are you calling me? Yeah. She's like, listen, I think Dad is having a stroke. I've gotten home. I've done the tests for, when you test when somebody's having a stroke. And I'm rushing him to the hospital. I don't know if we're going to make it. And I'm like, what? What? I'm on air. In fact, she's talking to me. I'm like, 30 seconds, I need to go back. And I hung up the phone, put up the fader, and said, this is Kiss 100. My name is Kalekye. We're having a fantastic afternoon right here on the Rush Hour. And I went on. And I went on.
Your dad is having a stroke?
First of all, just that confusion. She's in the car. She's trying to drive. This is my younger sister. So
Buddha.
I'm there thinking, who are you with? Because you were alone. My mom was up country. My brothers, I don't even know if she's called them. I'm just, all these thoughts are going in, and I'm just thinking, I want to leave.
How far?
As you're coming from, because my parents live up Wayaki, as you're about to pass Lions Place, stop tu niingie kwa gari tuendelee kwa hospital. Yes. I can't, because who's going to continue with the show?
And you're alone.
I'm alone. I'm alone. Then I'm afraid that if I go outside to tell somebody, I'm going to start crying. And then I won't be able to do the show. Do you know, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my bosses. I didn't tell anyone.
And for 5 hours?
I did the show. And then now I'm trying to call my family. Now they're like, don't tell her anything. Don't pick her calls. You're going to distract her. Let her do her work. Da, 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 da. So they didn't tell me anything. That was the longest 5 hours of my life. I was delivering, and this is why I keep telling people, you want to be on air, if you don't know how to act and you've never acted before, it's not going to be easy for you. Because you have to deliver for the people. The people literally paid to watch because that's why they're there. So you can't suddenly start just sounding down or start messing up the program. You know, you have a schedule, you know what you're supposed to do. People are expecting you to deliver. You can't. Longest 5 hours of my life. But I finished. I took an Uber, was Uber there then? Yes, Uber was there then. I took an Uber to the hospital, and I'm asking guys, why wasn't anybody calling me? Why weren't you picking my calls? And they're saying, see, you already said that you are alone and you are working.
Yeah.
So the minute my eldest brother had, he said, stop telling her. Let her just come. And yeah, indeed, he had a stroke, and it was scary. He's well. Living and working around that, but it was difficult. So later is when I'm telling the guys I work with that this was happening, and they're like, what? I said, yeah, if I told you guys now, and then you guys start saying, oh, it would crack.
All right.
Yeah, it will crack.
Give me a one-word answer.
One-word answer, oh Jesus.
How was your childhood?
You remember that I had 3 older brothers and I was the only girl. I don't know how you want me to answer that question because I was terrorized for most of it. One word. It was actually an interesting childhood. Yeah, interesting. I'd go with interesting because I wanted to do everything the boys were doing. My mother's like, but you're a girl. I was sickly for a lot because that's when my skin condition came, and it was this whole scary thing that, oh, we've gotten our first daughter, and then now her skin has a condition that we don't know. And back then, the information was limited because I was born in 1976. This was 1980. Obviously, internet was nowhere. Nobody had much information. Everyone knew eczema, but this was not eczema. I saw so many doctors that I started hating seeing the doctor. You see why I was telling you I took long to see the doctor for my feet is because I was just like,
no.
Niliona daktari.
Okay.
And everyone was giving you a different medication that would either go this way or that way. So I was just like, I don't want. I don't want.
What's your personality?
What a question is that? What do you mean, what's your personality?
What is your personality?
I don't know. These are Gen Z questions. See, I cannot compute. I don't understand.
Cannot fathom.
I don't fathom. What is your personality? Okay, let me try. I think I'm fun loving, but I am also very like a straight arrow. I don't do black or white. I don't do gray area rather. It's black, it's white. I'm very straightforward that way. And the biggest, I'll give it to you for free, the biggest deal breaker is dishonesty. That's a big one for me, very big. I don't do lies.
Amazing. Your favorite verse of the Bible?
Okay, that would have to be Romans 8:28. That the Lord says that, on the spot, but you know Romans 8:28. On the spot. All things are working out for the good of all those who love the Lord and according to his name. For me, that verse reminded me that no matter how tough things get, and you know, over the last few years, it's been tough. It's been tough in different areas. Work isn't as available as it used to be, especially for us as consultants. But he just says it will work out. Even where the heartbreaks came, the pain came, it will work out. It will work out.
Amazing. Amazing. Even as we get to wind up this particular, I do want to finish.
I'm actually having a really good time, considering that you woke me up very early. Oh, you have a question?
Kalekye, being in the media business,
Yes.
you get a lot of calls.
Yes.
From artists, guys who know you're at a place of influence, and they want favors.
Yes.
When you left that space, did the call stop?
I have emails from people with their music, and I'm going, "Sa munataka niyeke." Okay, munataka nidu.
Till now.
Yeah. Till now.
Okay. Guys call for you.
And I'm like, okay, do you want me to tell you how the song is? Is it my opinion you're after? It's very confusing. The thing about that place, and I know it happens to you as a DJ a lot, is that everyone will send you because the systems are not done properly for our Kenyan musicians. That there's a place to submit the music, and then the music will get to the DJs that it's already been paid for. Because when I'm submitting my song to you, I'm giving it to you for free.
For free, exactly.
Then I'm there as a musician saying, the system is not working. But what you do is you appreciate it, because I'm sure even here there's a system.
Yeah,
I don't know about, because for us we had a system that the music had to go through the music producers. The music producers test the music before it goes on air, because there is a certain niche and style of music that they were playing. So even if you sent it to me, I'll just send it to the system, because I can't do anything about it. We had radio has no, you can't play what you want, because my taste at the time, I got onto radio 29 going on 30, station near 18 to 24. The music they liked and the music I liked. So if I was playing what I wanted, I'd be fired. I'd be fired. Yeah.
I agree. All right, even as we get to wind up, first of all, I'd want you to tell us your principles, the ones that you live with, and of course, get to encourage someone who, first of all, I don't know why we had a notion while growing up. I don't know, I had it that people on TV have their life all put together. It's perfect.
Yeah.
But there's someone who's like you and I, who we break.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But speak to that person who wants to get to the space that you've gotten to. And maybe our lives may not be put together, but you can encourage someone.
Yeah.
And of course, social media handles and what you get to do. Those are 5 things.
Okay.
The principles, talk to someone, social media, and what you get to do now.
Okay. So I think the principles I live by are based on my values, right? And my values are that honesty is key, right? Kindness will cost you nothing but give you everything. Having grace is important. Grace for yourself and grace for others. And one of the biggest things for me is that I must be a person of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, the way we met and I said I'm going to be on this show, no matter how I have not slept, I'm just saying, I will wake up and be there because I gave you my word. And so for me, interacting with people is, I better be a person of my word. And if and I know, sometimes you can't keep to whatever you said you're going to do, is communicate it. So over all of that, communication is king. And maybe that's why I work in the space of communication. If you're not communicating clearly your needs and wants, the other person cannot give you what you're expecting because you haven't shared it. So that's important. Maybe now to encourage that person who is viewed as you have it all together. All my life, even before I got on media, I was viewed as, we need demomado. Huyu akona chali, hawezi kuwa single. Unaona vile anakaa? Na face beat sasa hiyo imefanywa huku TV47. Si hata si yangu. Shout out to Val. So if you looking a certain way or carrying yourself a certain way is important, because you need to look like the way you want to be received. That's very important. How you want to be received and perceived. Look that part to the best of your ability. And today, wezi sema luku ni ngumu kupata. Luku si ngumu kupata. Because these days it's flooded everywhere. We can afford different things that look really good but are inexpensive. Sisi wenye tumekaa hii side, hii makeup tumepakwa na kampuni ndio tusikae tumechakaa kwa TV ya wenyewe. Unakumbuka si TV yetu, si yetu, iko na wenyewe. Your radio station haikuwa yetu, but we were the frontliners. So we had to look and sound a certain way according to what they want to market and make sure that the audience are pulling in, so that what happens, the advertisers who want that audience pull in, because people forget, you're in the business of selling. Sifa Sunday, great, we are pushing for people who believe in God, but there are also people who want those people of God. And so therefore they will come and put money into it for you to continue doing your job. It's a business. That doesn't in any way mean that my life is now what that business is, because it's not mine. If I own it and I'm pushing for it, well and good. But as a person who's sitting here, wearing the microphone and doing the work, it's just a job. And I always tell people, a job of being in the media is no way comparable to the job that a surgeon does. That guy saves lives. Saves lives physically. That if you just one nip and your life ends. So we give a lot of value to people because we see them, they're presented to us in a nice way, but it doesn't actually mean that their lives are set up in that way. Second, because I said that my principles is also on grace, afford the people who you see on your screen or listen to some little grace. Maze, so go through things. So I was telling you I was going through my dad having a stroke and I'm there chekeshaing you a good one, but you didn't know that. So we are human. And we feel. When you troll us, we feel. So I have not gotten married. Did I die? Am I still not pretty? Listen, it's not the end of the world. Me, I'm not the one to give myself a husband. It is God to give me. If I go looking for him, look how many times nimechomeka. Hey, you know, nilichomeka juu ya kujipeleka. Siku hizi sijitumangi, bro. Nangoja God anikujie. So, you know, just give us some grace. Give us some grace, right? What was your third thing?
Social media?
Social media, I am on all platforms at Kalekye Mumo. That's Instagram, Facebook. I'm not a fan of X, but I'm there. And I am trying with TikTok, the real Kalekye Mumo. Another funny thing, you know how people think that if they go and take a handle, that they can own it? I'm like, so how are you going to be posting me waking up in the morning, having a cup of tea? Ulichukua handle, okay, so then. So it's the real Kalekye Mumo on TikTok. And what I'm doing now is that I am focusing a lot on training. This is the new plan for 2024, is to focus on training. A lot of people want to learn how to use their voice correctly. You can have a voice and not know. Like I said, I was trained. So I want to start doing voice training. I want to do public speaking training. There are a lot of people who, whether you're in a space of an office and you need to do presentations, whether you are going to be using the skill as a podcaster, whether you want to try your hand at TV, whether you have been there and want to increase that skill. So I want to have trainings that are for beginners, for intermediates, and then a masterclass. So that is something I'm focusing on. And so please keep checking out on my pages. I will be sharing that very, very soon. And I went back to acting now that I have a little bit more time. There's a film that should be coming out this year. It's a free country. I remember we were here at TV47 promoting it. And voiceover jobs. I'm always open to do great ads. Kama mko na advertisement huku TV47.
Holla at you.
Yeah, holla at me. My voice is really good.
All right.
So yeah, so that's it.
Amazing. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being a blessing.
Thank you for having me. It's been a fantastic time.
Did you like the interview?
I've enjoyed myself.
Oh, okay.
I think I've talked a bit too much, but I've enjoyed myself.
You're always on this other side.
Yes, I am.
So on this other side,
Yes,
I get to do the grilling.
Yeah.
All right, but thank you so much for coming, and I pray that the Lord will use you.
Amen.
The next generation and the next generation.
Amen.
That will not be out of season.
Amen.
When Kalekye is mentioned, people are like, oh, that one that was there. Imagine that task. You know, when I was sharing with my mom this weekend, I was telling her I'm doing an interview. I was like, who you? And you know, and I'm thinking, okay, my mom knows you, I know you, my children and children will know you.
Amen. That is such a blessing, because we fear that when you leave, you're forgotten.
Yeah, you won't be forgotten.
Amen.
You will live to
Amen.
testify of the goodness of the
Amen.
Lord.